Welcome to New Stripe City, a YouTube channel for diehard Bengals fans. I'm your host, Ace Boogie. Wanted to switch it up, especially with the bye week going on right now. Kind of wanted to just answer some questions for some of the subscribers, show you guys some love, kind of have a little bit of an open discussion. So we'll wait for some of you guys to get here. But as soon as you get here, number one, definitely make sure you subscribe. Number two, definitely throw some topics up that you want to talk about. Hey, what's up, notification gang? What's going on, Andrew? What's up, Sir Dom? Is AJ gonna play? Let's start off with that. I'm not sure. I'm honestly frustrated about the whole AJ thing, man. I know you guys probably are too. Um, we started this week off. Let me start here. We started this week off with the trade deadline. Right. Historically, the Bengals haven't made many trades, but we expected with all of the injuries, especially when you have 15 players on your injury report, we expected them to make a move. And then the day of the trade, you hear that AJ Green was spotted in a walking boot, right? And after that, they immediately try to do damage control and say, hey, AJ Green is just in the walking boot for a precautionary reason, right? Cool. Okay. The Bengals make zero moves. I have a problem with that, but we'll address that later. What really makes me frustrated is the day after the trade deadline, they come back and go against what they said about AJ Green. Now the swelling has been going down. He's seeking a second opinion. And to me, it just really comes out to me, if I'm just speaking straight here, I think that it's just BS and they didn't want to make a trade and they kind of used that news of saying that they thought that it was a precautionary thing as a reason for them not to make a trade. That's just my honest opinion. I'm not sure. I'm not involved with the front office. I didn't hear anything, but I was just upset because I wanted them to make a trade. Now, I'm not trying to be unreasonable in terms of their trades. I didn't expect them to go out and get Demarius Thomas. I didn't expect them to go out and get a Golden Tate, even though those guys went for great value. But they could have definitely gotten the guys like Devontae Parker or Martavis Bryant. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of Martavis Bryant, but he was a cheap option that you wouldn't have had to pay too much for. And I'm not asking for them to go out and get, anybody crazy, but the fact that you made zero moves and you had so many injuries at the position, and the fact that you knew AJ Green was hurt, and the fact that if AJ Green is hurt and we come out of this bye week against New Orleans, who's going to want to run without your best player, and Tyler Boyd will be double teamed, it just doesn't make sense. But I'm not going to keep going on. Let me get to some of your questions. I did see that Andrew, I did see that the Bengals were working out Coney Ealy. That was pretty dope. The only thing is, someone brought up a good point. He's been on 5 teams in the last 4 years, so I don't know if it's a 3-4 fit that's the issue or what it is. But I saw that they worked out about 8 players. Unfortunately, he was the only notable one. Thoughts on why we didn't make any trades? I think the thoughts on why we didn't make any trades are that the Bengals love a lot of their own players and they feel comfortable with a lot of their own players. I feel like, honestly, I think that it could have been a Mike Brown thing. Mike Brown might have not wanted to have spent that much money on acquiring a new player because he felt like he would have had to give up draft picks and money. That's just my honest personal opinion. I fail to believe that they didn't at least approach him with one trade or, entertain a trade. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there. Coney Ealy, though, if they do sign him, that's cool. But honestly, I think that they really need to look into signing Dez Bryant. But we'll see. Injuries are a killer. That's what I hate about football. They definitely have been. What about Gio P-Bands? I think that Gio's coming back next week, I believe. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Is it time for Marvin to go? I don't think so. He's, turned this team around for the most part. The Bengals are averaging a decent amount of points per game. They've turned around the offensive line. They're one game out of the division lead. Definitely not time for Marvin to go. Do we have a chance versus the Saints next week with our defense versus Drew Brees? That's the $1 million question because this defense, hopefully, they have this bye week to kind of try to get things together. But so far, um, I don't think, like, if we're going based off of what we've seen so far, I think that Drew Brees will tear us to shreds. I think Drew Brees will. I think Alvin Kamara will. Michael Thomas. These are guys that have an explosive offense, but they don't need to necessarily shut them down because, like my good friend Zim Hude says, this isn't an era where you can really shut guys down. But if they can slow them down, then we will have a chance. But if not, if AJ Green doesn't play, bro, like if AJ Green doesn't play, so I feel like if AJ Green plays, there's a 50-50 chance we could win. If AJ Green doesn't play, I think there's a 20% chance we win that game. Let's see. They should have traded Dre in a first for Pat P and also made a deal for Fowler. So I knew that they weren't going to trade Dre. Don't think that I'm a huge Dre guy or anything, but I don't think that they were going to move him. And I also don't think that they were going to get Pat P just because Pat P had came out a while ago and said that he wanted to stay in Arizona. So I don't think that they would have did that move. It would have been nice if they would have did it while he was, wanting to strike up a deal. But it seems like those two sides are trying to work together now. Fowler, to me personally, just living in the Florida area, he's kind of been a bust for them. It would have been a nice guy to kind of take a chance on, but he's not really that good. And I mean, he was a top 5 pick, so I'm not sure exactly if Jacksonville paid half of his salary and the Rams are paying the rest. But for the Rams, it makes sense because you got all of those guys around him. Not saying that he wouldn't be good around our guys, but they're going for it. But, I would think if you're looking on the defense, I think that they're pretty decent at edge rusher, even with losing Lawson. I think that they would have liked to have looked at somebody with an interior defensive tackle or a linebacker to help against the run. Is Sam Hubbard a decent replacement for Carl Lawson? I think he is. I think that was answered this past weekend. And although I'm a Carl Lawson fan, he really wasn't having that great of a season this year. Just because he wasn't able to get enough snaps. I think Carl Lawson is amazing, but I don't think they gave him enough snaps this year to make an impact. And you saw once Sam Hubbard got a lot of those snaps, whether it was on the outside, whether it was on the inside from the defensive tackle, position, he did make an impact. I mean, this guy had, I think, at least 2 sacks, maybe more. We need to get Brandon Marshall. That's an interesting option to look at. Malik is almost a bigger stud than Ross. Oh, wow. Sheesh. Let's see. Let me go back through here. Thanks, man. I appreciate you calling me the GOAT. Oh, Joe Mixon's the GOAT. Got you. Got you. Let's see. I hate Cincinnati is not giving Mixon the ball much. They gave him the ball a lot last game, but they definitely need to give him more. Let's see. Bengals play the Saints, then the Ravens. That's going to be hard, so we might go 5-5. I'm not too concerned about the Ravens game. I think that we're pretty good in terms of the Ravens. We can kind of handle them. I think if I think about our record in the last 7 games, I feel like we won probably, 6 of them? Explain what happened with Eric Reed. Eric Reed basically came to the Bengals in the offseason on a free agent visit. And the Bengals at the time were looking at adding him. He had some conversations with Terrell Austin. He had some conversations with Marvin Lewis. And once he got to Mike Brown, he asked him if he would continue his protest of the anthem. And he wasn't able to give him a definitive answer on that. And basically, that's where it ended. The Bengals did not sign him. He filed a grievance against them, and that grievance was thrown out. Hugh or Laser? I think right now you have to go with Laser just because they're not going to move on from him. I do see them, however, bringing Hugh in possibly a consultant role. And the thing is, the Bengals offense has been pretty decent this season, so that could open up some jobs for Bill Laser. And if Bill Laser is offered a head coaching job after next season, you could definitely see Hugh slide into the offensive coordinator position next year. Burfict makes our defense worse. That's not true. Come on, bro. Burfict is our best linebacker. I mean, what are you going to throw? Is he really worse than Hardy Nickerson? No, he's not. Hardy Nickerson is the worst ever. I was hoping we would get Golden Tate. I didn't really think we were going to get Golden Tate, and that's just because he plays a slot receiver, same position as Tyler Boyd. But that would have been nice. What's up with John Ross? John Ross just can't stay healthy. I don't know. I think that's just what it is. It is what it is. Will you ever have one of the players as a guest star on here? I hope so. Make sure that you guys tag some people. Tag Joe Mixon. I've been trying to get Joe Mixon on here for a minute. Um, I would have probably have done a better job with that if not for an incident a few years ago. For those of you that just started following me, I actually had a pretty bad incident a few years ago when I first started the channel with Vontez Burfict. I had a friend of mine send me a picture of Vontez Burfict. Or he didn't. I didn't request for him to send it to me, but he sent it to me, and Vontez had actually cut his hair. And I hadn't known at that time that Vontez wasn't trying to let people know that his hair was cut. This was after he cut his dreads and everything, was going for a new look. And so I tweeted it out. And it's crazy because I actually tweeted it out 2 days before the Bengals started training camp. And so then I noticed that the Bengals reporters were trying to actually get a view of his hair for some reason. I don't know why they were doing that. So I helped them out and mentioned them in the tweet with Vontez with his haircut. And it just exploded on Twitter and went viral. Like Malcolm Jamal Warner was in my mentions, and I just get this phone call and it's like, "Yo, Vontez said take the picture down." So of course I took it down. Next thing I know, Vontez Burfict is in my DMs, bro. I felt bad because it wasn't something I didn't know that he wasn't trying to show people his hair like that. Had I known, I felt like that was kind of messed up. I almost turned into the paparazzi. So I kind of felt bad because, you don't want to share things that people don't want shared. I mean, I want to respect the man's privacy. So ever since then, I think that probably, if they ever see my show, probably doing it on the locker room or YouTube, Vontez is probably like, screw that dude. But I would love to have Vontez on here or Joe Mixon or anybody. So if you think that they should be on, definitely tag them. I'm down with it. I think the closest that I had a former player on. I actually had John Thornton on a few years ago. I did an interview with him, so that was pretty dope. Is it time for Terrell Austin to go? I don't think, other teams will probably kick Terrell Austin to the curb by now, but this is the Bengals. We kept Paul Alexander for 24 years, and the Cowboys kept him on, 8 weeks and got rid of him? So I think that they'll stay the course with Terrell Austin. They still like him. I think Marvin still likes him, so I think he'll stay. Is Billy Price back? I think he'll be back. Probably after the bye. If we don't have AJ, we still got Mixon. Yep. I think Marvin's good because he took Bengals to the playoffs more times than almost any coach. That's definitely true. D has got to play as a team. I agree. Let's see. When is Ross coming back next week? Auden Tate, I definitely think we do need Auden Tate for sure. We need a new defensive coordinator. I can agree with that. I don't think it will happen until next year. What's crazy is it seems like Terrell Austin is getting considered, I saw earlier, as a possible coordinator for the Browns. Not the coordinator, but the head coach. That would be terrific. Let's see. Auden Tate deserves a chance. He definitely does. But from what Zim was saying, if you guys follow Zim Hude on IG, make sure you follow him. He was saying that he heard from some players possibly. I can't really put a stamp on it. I don't think Zim would be perping or anything, but he said that some of the players say that he might struggle with just running routes. So maybe that adds up to why he hasn't been active. I like John Ross, but he needs to go. He cannot stay healthy. I understand that, Mike. I understand how you feel that way, but you got to look at it this way. This is year 2 of the John Ross experiment. They technically have up to 5 years for him to get it right. You know that the Bengals are going to wait until he gets right. Some of those things are his fault. Some of them aren't, so we just have to wait and see. Look, man, they got people. They can get Marvin Lewis. Pissing me off. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. I agree with that. Let's see. Ross ain't going nowhere. He definitely isn't going anywhere. How come you are still in the Mr. Bernard? I like Gio. He's a good player. Any word on Burfict? No, but he has a hip injury, so that could be pretty bad, honestly. I don't like Mike Brown. I don't think a lot of people might like Mike Brown at this point. It's tough. It's tough to I think the defense will play well because there's no tight end threat like the game at Baltimore. What are your thoughts? I think that they'll play pretty decent, but I'm not sure if you're talking about the Saints game. If you're talking about that, it's still going to be a tough game just because they have so many weapons. How do I see the rest of the season going? I think if you look at my predictions that I had for the season, I had us going 9-7. I still think that they stay the course and do it. Burfict is a real hitter. All right. Hardy Nickerson misses every tackle and gets beat on every play. That's factory. That is a fact. Love you, man. Did you like my Twitter video with the celebration? I have to check that out, Andrew. Appreciate the love though. Let's see. Honey Bunch needs to go. I don't know who that is. Who was a Honey Bunch? We should have gotten OJ Howard over Ross. I mean, that's you can't really argue that too much, but we'll see how those guys play. But that position, both positions, linebacker and tight end, have both been hit hard. Our defense, okay. Our offense has been streaky, but consistently good at the end of games. Injuries have been devastating. Yeah, that's true, Steve. Okay. All right, I'm nervous about our D. You and me both, brother. Bro, Hardy Nickerson has a silver card. Hardy Nickerson is trash on Madden. How does he even have a silver card on Madden? He is complete trash. Some players are returning with any defensive improvement. We could still be special. That's true. They just have to play defense, man. If they can play defense like we know that they're capable of, we know the talent's there, so we'll see. Malik Jefferson better than Hardy Nickerson. Bro, he can't be worse than Hardy Nickerson. He can't be worse than. I don't care what anybody says. They're talking about he looks lost. Hardy Nickerson looks lost. So what? I don't understand that. Just sucks that we can't make any moves before the deadline. If we aren't healthy, it's going to be tough. That's true. That's why I was the most disappointed because we've been murdered with injuries. Like the fact that you can't even trade a 6th or 7th round pick for Jared Cook speaks volumes. Who day, all day, every day, and especially on Sundays, that's for sure. Oh, I will also be coming back with the shirts. I just had to make sure that I got a good supplier. I think that I have a good one lined up, so I will start taking orders on those again. What about the Bengals hosting tryouts? Coney Ealy and 8 players. I like the Coney Ealy one. Like I said earlier, 4 out of 5. He's been on 4 teams in 5 years. I think they can get what they need to out of him. But the other 8 players, unfortunately, were like trash. I looked through the names and I was just like, who are these people? John Ross is heads above Tate. Our fans don't remember that Tate only really succeeded against third stringers when they gave him an opportunity to start in the final preseason games against the real competition starters. He struggled. I think he still caught a touchdown against some starters, though, bro. I think there was one game where he actually did catch a touchdown on a starter. I might be mistaken, though. But I don't think he's better than John Ross. I mean, you're comparing a 7th rounder to a 1st rounder. So I agree with you there. But I think if you put Auden Tate into the red zone, I think he could definitely make some plays. A number of teams offloaded players. How come we weren't in the hunt? Best wishes from New England. Sele, I have no idea. I thought we were going to make some kind of move, especially with the injuries. Like, in normal years, I would be like, nah, I'm not expecting anything. But the fact that they tried to make a move last year with A.J. McCarron, they did that. You know, A.J. McCarron, as far as a trade for him, that could have even been something that they entertained, but they didn't even do that. The Squealers are like bullies. They want to play dirty. But when we fire back, they cry. Yes, that is very true. Very true. You never hear that much about Vontaze Burfict until it's after we've played the Steelers. If Ross gets healthy over the offseason, he should have a breakout season in 2019. I know that's not what people want to hear. We'll see, man. We'll see. I wish our line still had Andrew Woodworth. I think we all can say that. Terrell Austin needs to be shown the door. I agree with that, too. Let's see. Let me try to. You guys are going way in front of me. Let's see. If we don't make the playoffs this year, will they fire Marvin Lewis? This team, man. I don't think so. Unfortunately, like they'll look at it and then Mike Brown will come out with a press conference saying, "Well, when you look back on it, you know, Going 8-8 was an improvement over the past 2 years. So I think we stay the course and keep going. But I think the Bengals make the playoffs this year. If they make the playoffs, he's definitely not getting fired. Even if we get ousted in the first round, it's too early to count out Ross. I agree with that. It's definitely too early. Why didn't we pick anyone up on the trade? I told y'all earlier. If I knew, I have no idea what will happen with Denard. Will we re-sign him come the end of the year, or let him go and draft a QB in the high second or third? Unfortunately, as much as I would love to keep him, I think that they're going to let him walk. Do you think AJ will be back in time for the Saints game? I have no idea, man. Your guess is as good as mine. Right now, I'm going to say I don't think he's going to play in that game, especially with the report saying that the swelling hasn't gone down. If you had to blame one person for our defensive problems, who would it be? I say Sean Williams. Y'all know that I'm not a huge Sean Williams fan. I've never been. Oh, actually, that's not true. I actually was a Sean Williams fan when we drafted him out of Georgia. But I don't think that you can literally blame him, because I think when I've actually seen Hardy Nickerson on the defense, he's been one of the biggest problems. Obviously, Sean Williams plays a lot more. Obviously, he's caused a lot of and had a lot of lapses in the secondary. I can see why you would say it would be him. I'd argue that he's had a worse year than Dre or anybody else. He hasn't really been very good. He's played decent. He's not bad. He's not like super terrible, but he's just had random lapses. I don't think you can blame him for this defense though. Like Drake or Patrick misses a tackle. Like the entire defense missed tackles. We had one game where 18 missed tackles, so that's never good. Let's see. Yeah, our coaching staff needs to go young at. Okay, and look at the drastic change that the Rams made, bro. Yeah, that's true, Sarah Dom. I can see that. After seeing the first 8 games, I'm not too fond of Austin, and I don't have any confidence in his playbook. I could understand that. He hasn't really proven anything. One of the things that I will say is they were saying earlier, I think I was listening to the BBP podcast, and they were talking about how Terrell Austin, or not even the BBP podcast, I think it might have been Joe Goodberry, and he was talking about how he has changed things every single game. So he's trying, but we'll see. Is AJ Green slowing down? No. Ted over Ross. Okay. Do we draft OL or linebacker in the first round next year? I say OL. Honestly, man, we have to throw a dart at a first round linebacker. It's been a long time since we've taken Keith Rivers, and just waiting until the second and third round for us hasn't done well. So why not just get a first round linebacker? I mean, I feel like we can still get some decent offensive linemen in the second or third rounds, but that linebacker just needs to be addressed. New England, not from New England. England and Europe, long distance Bengals fan. Hey man, if I can get a shirt to you, I'll definitely send you one, Staley. Definitely the best hybrid linebacker in the first round. I wouldn't mind that. That's pretty cool. How many Super Bowls would we have gone to if we had Tom Brady? I don't know. I mean, Tom Brady, I think he's, in my opinion, I think he's the GOAT. Could he survive with Mike Brown? I have no idea. It's hard to say. I think if you gave Tom Brady a lot of the teams that we had, like from 2011 through now, I think he'd probably have a couple rings. Do you think Laser can be a head coach? I think so. The Bengals, I kind of knew he was going to get the position as the offensive coordinator because he impressed a lot of guys. He moves a lot of people in the room. He's well respected. He's well tenured. So I could see him getting a head coaching position. Watch Marvin Lewis is going to go to the Browns and then end up winning playoff games. I don't think anybody's going to win any playoff games with the Browns. If Hugh Jackson can't turn them around, I don't believe anybody can turn them around. Do you think Eifert will get re-signed and is mixing the next Le'Veon? I think Eifert can get re-signed. I think it depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to do the same thing that he did this year, which is coming back on a cheaper deal with incentives, then I think he'll do it, especially the way that he went down. He was really looking forward to this year. And 2015, Eifert looked like he was back. Kirkpatrick hasn't been as bad as I thought he'd be. I mean, he's still still is near the skill of William Jackson III, but he's been better. I agree. That's what I've been saying. It's crazy because I get so much hate over saying that Kirkpatrick hasn't been that bad. But honestly, when you look and think about Kirkpatrick, he's not been as bad this year as he's been in past years. He's improved. Um, there's certain things that stick out in my mind. I remember when teams would just like straight target him every single play, and I'm not saying that they have slowed down in doing that, but before it was like they were completing every pass. People were catching touchdowns on them left and right. I haven't really seen that this year. I think that he's improved a lot in coverage. A lot of people point to the Steelers game. I felt like that was a BS call. They shouldn't have called holding on him. But I think he's played decent, man. He's played decent. I just don't understand how people can talk about him. And, initially, I'm a big William Jackson III fan, but he kind of struggled a lot more than Dre before the season. But I feel like there's this narrative with Dre where people just want to pile on him. So they're not fair with that assessment. But when you look at Pro Football Focus and anything, this is possibly his best season that he's had his career. So, again, not saying he's an elite corner or amazing, but he's just been decent. Is Tyler Boyd going to make the Pro Bowl? I think he can make it, especially if you have those players that say no and drop out or have injuries. I think he could make it. But it's a long shot, but I think he could make it. I think he's becoming a household name. I wish Eifert could stay healthy. It sucks when he comes back and gets hurt again. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think he was going to be back. And I think he's one of the big reasons why our offense isn't as fluid as it's been, because he demands a lot of the defense's attention. Culture change starts at the top, but if Brown isn't the owner anymore, who takes over the team? Katie Blackburn. Okay. Do you think Bobby Hart is going to be a good backup for Billy? I believe so. Tight end is a high draft pick in 2019. It's possible. It's possible, especially if we lose Eifert, definitely. How many? Okay, I already read that. Let's see. Is our defense going to be able to get the job done? If they can just get turnovers, they'll be all right. Just don't drop them. Bobby Hart is trash. Bobby Hart has kind of improved these last couple of games, low-key. Let's see. Houday. Hey, what's up, Houday? I literally go to school in Cincy, and I'm the only Bengals fan. Almost everyone is a bandwagon. That sucks. Do you think, let's see, would Jesse Bates make the Pro Bowl? I think Jesse Bates can get it. Leia, let's talk about Jesse Bates, deployable ninja. I think Jesse Bates is definitely in the running for Rookie of the Year. Has to get about probably 4 or 5 more interceptions to, I think, solidify it. I think if he does that, then he's definitely in the Pro Bowl, because you usually have to have about 8 or 9. I just think back to the year that Reggie went, and that was kind of around what he had. Boyd is my favorite player this year. He stepped up big time. Totally agree, Cincy fan jungle. We should save Eifert for the playoffs in 2019. I agree. It seemed like they were trying to save him this year. Like, they tried to not play him as much. Like, they tried with the plan, and he still got hurt. Do we need an entirely revamped linebacker core? Yes. We've needed one for a while. And Madden, to start the season, Bobby Hart was a 65 overall. Now he's a 71. So he's been improving during the season. He definitely has improved. And if you want to call Bobby Hart trash, just think about Cedric Ogbuehi. Just think about Jake Fisher and how most of the time this season they've been inactive on defense. And then think about how he didn't let up any sacks, I believe, to Watt. Do you think Billy Price is going to go back to center or move to guard? He'll go back to center. I think they'll actually move Trey Hopkins to guard is my guess. Mixon is the best halfback in the league. I can't say that yet. I think he has potential to be that, but he has to go out there and earn that first, because you got guys like Kareem Hunt. I'm not saying Kareem Hunt is better than him, but, I mean, look at what he's doing. He's out there hurdling guys. He's out there leading the league and rushing. So it's hard to say. It's really tough to say. I'm a Bengals fan that lives in L.A. That's what's up, Mark. Bates is one of the bright spots for the future. Definitely like to see Jefferson get acclimated. We'll see, man. From what I heard on the BBP, it seems like some of the coaches might think that Jefferson is a bust, which sounds pretty bleak. What's the lineup going to look like for the OL once Price gets back? I think that you see, and this depends because remember Clint Boland also got hurt as well. But I think that we see Cordy Glenn, Kellen Bowling, if healthy, if not, Christian Westerman. And then I think you see Billy Price. I think you see Trey Hopkins, and you see Bobby Hart. Yeah, but there's no way, Jamie. There's no way that Price is losing his job at center. How much do you believe in the Bengals under the radar staff? Do you care about the Bengals fitness coach? I think I've heard good things. I think the Bengals have one of the best staffs in the NFL. To be honest with you, I don't think that they get the credit that they deserve. And from what Carlos Dunlap has said, it seems like they've kind of upgraded. So I would think that their fitness coach is pretty good, and I think that their facilities are pretty good. What three positions would you draft in the offseason next year if you were Marvin Lewis? Linebacker, 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 and linebacker. I'm just playing. Linebacker, offensive line, whether that's a right guard, whether that's a right tackle, and I think maybe tight end. Tight end could be one. What are my thoughts on Andy Dalton? I think that a very good quarterback. He's definitely made some strides. I think that he's turned the corner. He had some bad seasons, but he's recently had some good seasons. You look at the last 3 seasons, it'd be hard for you to say that he hasn't been a pretty good quarterback. Has he been great? No. Can he be great given the right tools and circumstances? Yes. I think he's been a lot more clutch this year. He's been a lot more of a leader with his play. He's definitely stepped up his game. I think that he's one of the reasons that the Bengals are winning. You look at his moxie that he showed in the last game, even when they blew that lead, he comes down and wins. And you look at the Atlanta game, he did the same thing. I think we should play a straight hybrid defense, hybrid linebackers from here on out. Yeah, I agree. You have to adjust with the times. Okay, give me 1 second. I got to get ready to go out here. I got to get out of here in a few minutes, so let me look through a couple of questions. What do I think of Preston Brown? I think he's been pretty decent. He's obviously struggling with an ankle injury, but I think he's probably your, third best linebacker. If Vigil didn't go down, I think that he's the third best linebacker. Burfict, Vigil, and Preston Brown in that order. And obviously Preston Brown isn't Preston Brown because he's got the injury. Any chance of bringing back Odell Thurman? I wish, man. I wish. Odell Thurman was that dude. That's who if I could have a former player to interview on here, I would love to bring Odell Thurman on here. If anybody knows him, let me know. Send me something on Twitter at New Stripe City or on Facebook. Let me know. If any of y'all know Odell, how I can get in contact with him, let me know. Arthur Holmes, appreciate your consistency, fam. Oh, no problem, bro. You got to keep it going for Who That Nation. Would you put A.J. Green in the top 5 as far as receivers go? Man, Josh, you must not know my channel, man. I think A.J. Green is the best receiver in my opinion. Given his circumstances, that he doesn't get to get as many targets, play with an elite quarterback, and he can be elite when he has all the tools around him, but he hasn't for the majority of his career been an elite guy. And I think because of some of those circumstances, he kind of doesn't get the attention that he should. But he's a guy that's 6'4", that can run just like a guy that's 5'11", 5'10", runs great routes. As a clutch player, whenever you need him, he's pulling it down. I think he's the best receiver in the NFL. I have no problem with saying that. And I felt like that before he was on the Bengals when we actually drafted him. It's crazy because I'll share a little story with you guys. Actually, when we drafted him, I told my cousin and my brother, I immediately told them, and this was coming off of the heels of Chad Johnson, he's going to be better than Chad Johnson. I told them that. They laughed me out the room. Who's laughing now? When will Vigil be back? I think possibly later in the season, honestly. The Bengals should go after Eric Flowers. Eric Flowers has already been signed by the Jags. If we draft a linebacker next year, do we re-sign Vigil? Yeah, I think so. When can you see us getting our quarterback of the future? I don't think it's coming, man. If they weren't going to take Lamar Jackson last year and Andy's playing the way that he is, I think Andy is the quarterback of the future. AJ and Julio are the best receivers in the league right now. If AJ Green wasn't as good as he is, teams wouldn't double team him every play. That's factual as well. He's never had another receiver opposite of him to take away that double team. The only time that they do is when Tyler Eifert is on the field. I spoke about Kirkpatrick earlier, Eric. What's with the court clothes today? It's not court clothes, bro. This is Ralph Lauren Polo. This is, if you know me outside of here, this is, polo is something that I always wear. I always wear polos and stuff like that. Is Boyd a top 10 receiver? I think so, definitely. Oh, yeah, I would love to see AJ and Julio in the Natty. If that would ever happen, oh, that would be great. But hey, guys, I got to run. I appreciate you guys. It's Who Day all day, every day. I'll try to do some of these more often. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you join the notification squad. That way you guys don't miss out on these. I appreciate you guys. Definitely coming with some more content at the end of this week. But as usual, like I said, I'll leave this with a Who Day all day, every day, and especially on Sunday.